Hi, and welcome to yet another edition of AskMzJudz. I hope you've been keeping well and that you've continued to take good care of yourself and of the significant people around you. Life happens, doesn't it? I have had a wonderful time, which is why you haven't heard from me for a while, but it's okay, it's all in the game of life. Today, I wanted to talk to you very briefly on who is in your ears. And I think it's a who and not a what. And we're going to create a very brief scenario that we're going to work through. So recently, so much has been happening. There are publications of news features of things that haven't been going so well all around the world. What is a bit burdensome for me is that sometimes there are what we call copycat situations. So something happens and somebody else wants to replicate it. And of course, this is compounded by everything that's happening in social media. So everyone is literally just going awry. And the thought that I want to share today is who is in your ear. I'm going to share from a few experiences. You know, that's my style. I like to talk from what I've experienced myself with my family and friends. So when one hears a thing, when you hear something, so for example, somebody says, that's a pretty dress. Of course, it could be a pretty dress for you, but it may not suit me. So if I then take what I've heard from you and decide that that's me, I may go and buy that dress and it's not going to look pretty on me. And then somebody's going to say something that's really mean. And I'm going to say, oh, but they are mean. The truth is, I acted without thinking. So what I want to submit to you today is the process of listening and hearing who you really should be hearing. And in some instances, it might come across like a what, but I want to present to you that it is a who. So for example, over the years, I've learned the art of listening to God. I call it listening to God. Some of you might call it listening to your intuition, listening to your inner voice, whatever you want to call it. And I tell you why. So if I've heard something, so for example, everybody say, oh, when you migrate as an adult, it takes forever for you to get into your profession. Some people never ever get into their profession. Well, I migrated to Canada with my family when I was 50. So of course, real adult. And every time I heard, oh, it's going to take 5 to 10 years to get into your profession, I would say it will not be like that for me. So I was hearing my own voice over and above the negativity that was happening around me. By the grace of God, it didn't even take me 2 years to get into my profession. Now, that is just one example. But there are deeper instances where things could have been catastrophic if I just listened to what I heard. So you all know that I was in higher ed in Jamaica at a community college for many years. And on one instance, my portfolio responsibilities were expanded to include graduation and all kinds of ceremonies. Now, the person I had taken over from had been given another assignment and she offered to help. But the way we worked in that college is that it was a small committee which I chaired who would have all these responsibilities. So I included the person before me in the committee as she had offered to bring her experience to bear. So when we will assign assignments, I will say, okay, who wants to do what? She volunteered to do many things, order the plaques, do everything for the awards. And I thought, okay, that's her area of expertise. I'm going to let her do it. Oh, she's going to review the graduation booklet, edit and proofread and all of that. I was really happy. And then one morning I was driving to work and I just felt in my spirit like God was saying to me, stop by the press and proofread the graduation book yourself. And I thought, oh, but so-and-so had promised to do it. And the voice kept saying, stop and do it. I stopped. I spent a few hours. This was those days where you had to proofread in person, right? Not like now where they will send you a soft copy and you proofread online. While I was there, I called her and she says, oh, she will do it. I shouldn't worry. This was only a few days to graduation. The things she promised to order, she didn't order. And that voice said to me, go and order these things yourself. I did. On the day of graduation. She came and she said, oh, she forgot to order those things. I later heard there was a deliberate plan to sabotage me doing it. Now, what is funny is it wasn't as if I took it from her. She took another responsibility and gave this up, yet she was working hard to make sure that it didn't work. The object of the lesson was, if I had just listened to her saying she would do it, graduation would have flopped and it would have been on me. Interestingly, another way that God allows us to hear is the people he sends around us. So in this committee was another lady who was in charge of issuing out gowns. This lady she was diabetic and was not very well. So the day of the gown issuing, I saw that she was under a lot of distress and I was really concerned. I thought, you know what, we've really done this too much. We have to stop now, we continue tomorrow. She kept saying, no, I'm going to do it. And I was like, she always did it, but the drive that they seemed, the vibe was a bit different. It was much later, after the huge success of graduation, that she told me she had overheard the plot to make sure that it will flop under me, which was why she pushed herself beyond even what we thought was normal to make sure it worked. What is important? If I had not listened to that voice that said, go and do this, go and order the plaques yourself, although there was a volunteer, go and do this. So sometimes it doesn't always make sense. But with God, it always makes sense. So what I'm sharing with you today, some of you are hearing noises. You can't do it. This is too stressful. Oh, academia is too difficult. There are too many assignments. Oh, higher ed. Oh, going to university in Canada is so hard. The truth is, whatever you allow to settle in your spirit will dictate where you're going. So I want to encourage you today, in spite of all the noise around you, I want you to choose to hear the voice of God, hear the voice of peace, hear the voice of reason, hear the voice of a critically thinking mind that says, I will do it because I am equipped to do it, and I will do it right too. So when you hear those voices of people who want to cut corners to get to where they're going, please discount that voice and listen to the voice of reason. So much is happening around us, personally, spiritually, professionally, in our political environment. There is so much noise that if you don't purposely tune in to listen to the voice of God, to the voice of wisdom, to the voice of reason, to the voice that makes sense, you will wake up one day and find that you are behaving like people who sent their brains on holiday and it didn't come back. You'll be amazed how people who are supposed to be informed and sensible are behaving as if they cannot even think. Why? They have decided to submit themselves to voices of wickedness and shallow thinking rather than listening to the voice of reason. I want to appeal to you today. Please be part of those who will contribute to making life meaningful and worthwhile for those in your environment. If you're in a place where the noise is negative, help to bring people's voice back to reason. I pray that God will find you worthy in your environment to add value. As usual, I'm going to ask that you like, share, and subscribe, that you help to spread positive encouragement in your sphere of influence. If you find someone who is down, don't hit them down further. Help to pull them up, give them hope, and let us trust that all of us will be instruments to bring joy, peace, progress in our communities. Thanks. I look forward to coming your way again real soon. Please leave your comments in the comment section below, and let's keep the conversation going. Be an encourager. Thanks, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Bye. Bye. Esse was mir Hauptbei. Bye.